Welcome to the Palomar College Career Spotlight Series, where we highlight careers in a variety of fields. I'm your host, Zeb Navarro, and joining us on today's show is Dr. Robin Johnston, a cultural resource management archaeologist and part-time faculty member in the Palomar College Archaeology Department. Thanks for being here with us today, Robin. So the first question I have is, please tell us, what is a cultural resource management archaeologist?
That is a great question. So the way I see it is, inside of archaeology, you have your academic archaeologists, and then you have your applied archaeologists. And cultural resource management falls under the applied side. We are working with cultural resources, archaeological sites, buildings, places of significance. And our job is to work with state, local, and federal agencies, as well as private companies, to try to preserve and steward those resources as we are trying to use our space, develop areas, work with state parks. All of those things fall under the realm of cultural resource management.
And for those of us outside the archaeology field, why is this job important?
Well, I think it's very important because we have a limited number of archaeological sites. We can't go back in time and make more buildings from the 1900s or more archaeological sites from 2,000 years ago. So because of that, as archaeologists, we have a goal of stewarding that resource for everyone, for our combined shared history. At the same time, we do need to develop our areas, add infrastructure, use our parks. So as cultural resource management archaeologists, our goal is to try to balance those two needs, preserving our history and doing the best we can to help these sites stay intact for future generations.
Now, growing up, I was a big fan of the Indiana Jones series. And so that's as close as archaeology as I know. And I know there's some common misconceptions regarding that. So walk us through a typical day for you as a cultural resource management archaeologist. What do you do once you wake up and get into the
So what I love about my job is that there's a lot of different kinds of typical days. We can have field days, we can have office days. So field days, we might be going out, we might be surveying, looking for new archaeological sites in areas with proposed projects. We might be working with construction crews to monitor archaeological sites and make sure that the work is not getting too close or turning up things we didn't even know about. And then we have office days where we might be categorizing artifacts in labs, preserving them for museums, or doing the general management, working with designers to try to improve the project and take into account the needs of the archaeological resources.
So I really like that balance between you're in the office, you're out in the field, and it kind of sounds like no 2 days are alike.
That's the part I love about my job, is every project is its own unique puzzle.
So you go out to the field, you go to your site, and you don't know what you're going to encounter.
Yep, we do as much preparation as we can, but there's always some fun surprises.
Now, when you go out to the field or in the office, a lot of our students want to know, what are some of the specialty tools or technology you rely on in your position?
Now, the fun part about my job is that it's a mix of very low tech and very high tech. A lot of what we do is still digging holes in the ground with a shovel and a trowel, but we also bring in new technologies like drone flights to do kind of overviews of sites and LiDAR. I personally work a lot with geographic information systems, which is a form of kind of smart mapping, bringing in the information that we have for site locations and information and being able to record that kind of information in the field.
That's really amazing because, again, we usually associate trowels and brushes and stuff, but now you got drones and all this wonderful technology. And what's really cool is you have to have an educational background to get into this. So I understand you took some classes in the archaeology department here at Palomar College. So how did the educational experience here at Palomar College help prepare you for your career?
Oh gosh, I took a lot of classes in the archaeology department here at Palomar, and I think it was some of the best preparation that I made for my career. It started giving me the hands-on experience of excavation classes, of actually doing the work. We have some great lab classes that exposes you to the wide range of artifacts that you might see and helps you learn what they look like in 3D. You can read as much as you like, but sometimes that hands-on experience, it's just critical. And then just the breadth of information. So many of our staff have done this kind of work for a long time. They bring a lot of depth of knowledge as to how to actually do the work that I think is incredible.
And I always love walking by the archaeology department because I peek in the window and there's like just shelves and shelves of artifacts and everything. And so I understand like some students want to go in there into the world of archaeology. Can you tell us about what type of jobs are available in the archaeology field.
Absolutely. So beyond becoming a professor or doing museum work, which is kind of the classic ideas, you can work for state parks, you can work for national parks, managing their cultural resources and their needs. I personally work for a private firm. We do construction management. So we're treated like biologists or specialists in aquatics. Anytime that they need to find out are the next steps for the project, they can pull us in and bring us in to consult on a wide variety of projects. You can also, if you love the field, you can become a field tech, and that's your day job, is to do most of those field days as opposed to more office days. There's a wide range of options out there depending on your interests.
So it just kind of depends on what you're comfortable with,
yes.
What your interests are. Some people love to be out there in the field, get nice and dirty, and some of the other people prefer data entry and data analysis and statistics. But what would you say is the best way to build experience for someone entering the archaeology field?
Well, I think coming from my own background, my first thing is to get out there and start doing it. Take a field school, do some survey classes, start trying to actually do the work that's going to be your meat and potatoes, and make sure that that's something that you really love, because you're going to be doing a lot of it, even if you are interested in the more office side of the job. And then start volunteering. We have a lot of really great archaeological societies. We have a data center nearby. They are always looking for new hands. So get out there, start working hard, and that kind of work is often very well noticed and will help you build the connections you need for your career.
And if someone's interested in volunteering or interning as a student, is there a site or a club or something they can go to like figure out how to volunteer for a project or a dig or
Yes,
anything?
so we have an archaeology club here on campus. That's a great entry point if you're interested in anthropology in general or archaeology specifically. And there's also the San Diego County Archaeological Center, and they are always looking for volunteers.
Now, you told me about something really cool before we started filming here. You are volunteering up in LA for the LA fires. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I work with a group called Alta Heritage, and they have an amazing plan of bringing together archaeologists and forensic dogs. And what they do is go to the houses of people who had maybe a loved one's ashes on the mantle and unfortunately lost their homes in the LA wildfires. And our job is to try to use our skills as archaeologists and the dog's skills at finding remains to locate those ashes and get them back to the families.
Wow. And that's all volunteer.
All volunteer.
Right. So if a student is interested in volunteering, they could just call up that nonprofit.
If they have the experience in excavation, that'd be a great thing to do.
I still think that's amazing, and that's great work. So because we have an archaeology department here that you teach at, and it's almost finals week, what advice would you give a Palomar College student that is interested in archaeology and they're taking classes in the archaeology department? What advice would you give them?
I think the biggest advice I love to give to archaeology students is be curious and never be afraid to put yourself out there. So if you see a project that's interesting, talk to the person. You might not necessarily have the exact skills that they need, but if you are enthusiastic and willing to learn, you can pick up all kinds of interesting projects, interesting opportunities. Going out there and putting yourself out there, I think, is the best advice I can give to anyone who's interested in this career.
And does the department offer any internships with archaeological societies or companies? Are there any internships available?
I believe that there are some students who have interned at the Archaeology Center, and I know that a lot of our students will go to state-level conferences. There's the Society for California Archaeology. Palomar students have represented very strongly and presented the work that they've done in special projects. I believe we are currently 4 for 4 on winning the student poster competition.
Oh, right. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, we've got some good students here.
Now, you mentioned a conference. As an archaeologist, how important is networking within the archaeology community for either a student or a professional archaeologist?
Absolutely critical. Archaeology is still kind of a small field, so who you know and your professional reputation is sometimes the best thing you have for opening up new doors. So going to these conferences, getting to know people, getting to spend time with them, learning what variety of projects and different specialties exist, those are all great things to do. And also coming out, volunteering, getting involved with the local San Diego County Archaeological Society. It's a great way to meet the people who are currently doing jobs. And if they know you, they can often suggest you as a potential new staff member. It's a great way of getting started.
That's great. With the time remaining that we have here, there is a question I always like to ask. I've been dying to ask an archaeologist, which is, what was probably the most fun or most interesting dig or discovery you've ever had as an archaeologist?
I love this question. One of my favorite digs that I've gotten to go on is I got to spend a month in Central Asia in Uzbekistan working on a citadel in the mountains that was on the Silk Road.
Whoa.
It was amazing. Classic archaeology. We were living out of tents. We were in a field in the middle of nowhere. And there was this marvelous city that until probably the last 10 to 20 years, people hadn't known was there. And we were some of the first people to go in and do the excavation to understand the city, understand how it was important, understand how the mountains played into the Silk Road. I was just a standard excavator on that one, but it was phenomenal. One of my absolute favorite experiences.
Were there any cool artifacts you guys discovered?
Yeah. We found something you never find in archaeology, which was an entire row of nearly complete ceramic pots. We never find anything whole. And so being able to take all of these vessels, see their shapes, see what was around them. There was a metal sword under one of them. It was phenomenal. Again, very exciting. You never know what you're going to find.
I'm pretty sure all the archaeologists were just like squealing with...
Oh, very much so.
Well, that's just really cool that you're able to do that, and that you were able to go in there, dig, discover all this cool stuff. Is any of that stuff in the museums now, or what did you do after that?
So all of that is actually in the museums in Uzbekistan. One of the big things we're trying to do with archaeology is we understand that sometimes we've not always been the best at working with communities that are in place. And so that dig in particular was a collaboration between American and Uzbek archaeologists working on Uzbek history. So I thought that was wonderful. And we try to do that as much as we can, get involved with descendant communities, with people whose history we are working with, even if it's not our own, and make sure that their needs are respected as well and taken into account.
And I really like that, especially because there's always jokes about, the British Museum and everything. It's really great that you're working with the communities to help preserve their own history and their own heritage. And
that's a really great thing I'm seeing more and more is we're bringing in more diversity within the archaeology field. We're bringing in more tribal members who are becoming trained as archaeologists and doing their own protection because they are the best stewards of their history. Now, do you have any last words before we wrap up? No, just thank you so much for having me. And I hope this inspires some students to go check out an archaeology class and see what the field is looking like today. Well, thank you, Dr. Johnston, for being with us today. Join us next time as we examine other careers to learn more about our community and possible jobs that may interest you. I'm Zeb Navarro, and this has been Palomar College Career Spotlight.